Welcome back. We're joined now by Dave Gervino from the DuPage County Office of Emergency Management to tell us about the Emergency Pet Preparedness Month. Welcome, Dave. Pet preparedness. We got to prepare our pets in case of an emergency, too. I never thought of that.
Yeah, you know, a lot of people make plans for themselves and their family members, but they forget their pets. And it's really, really important to have emergency preparedness plans that include your pets. You know, this really came to the forefront during Hurricane Katrina. A lot of people weren't leaving their homes, and at first responders and government officials thought it was because they were protecting their property and they didn't want to leave their homes. Well, what they later found out is the Coast Guard was conducting flyovers and finding people on rooftops with their dogs next to them and things like that, is that people didn't want to leave their pets, and they knew that in most shelters, while you can take a service animal, you can't take your pets, and people that didn't have plans for their pets. And
yeah, there has to be a plan for the pet. I can understand that. I mean, you'd feel so guilty leaving them there.
Definitely.
But to bring them with you, too, is another side of the coin where they're
for other people
might be uncontrollable. They could be snipping, or they're upset themselves. They don't. How would you like to be sitting next to a dog at a shelter who's growling at you? You know.
Right, and that's why shelters, for the most part, do not allow pets other than service animals. So we work very closely with the Addison Police Department and DuPage County Animal Care and Control to have agreements and arrangements with neighboring counties and other sheltering facilities, so that when we do open a shelter for humans, we have places to take pets. But still, it really is important that each person take it upon themselves to have a plan for their pets. So, you know, maybe if there's an emergency and you have to evacuate your home, your neighbors or relatives may not have enough room to take your family in, but maybe they could take care of your cat or your dog. You could bring it over there.
But would you have time to transport the dog from, I mean, you say relative, maybe they live a ways from you, or your neighbor will have the same problem you're having if it's, you know, an emergency.
And that's why it's important to look into this now and to have a plan. So to know of available shelters in your area, to talk to your veterinarian about if there's an emergency and I have to leave my house or my house is not accessible, where can I take my pet for a few days? Where's a place in this area, or where's a place out of the area that I can take my pet that's a safe place where my dog or my cat can get food and water until it's safe to go back at home.
What about those exotic pets, you know, like a snake or a spider or a bird? You know, I mean, what do you do with them?
That's another good question to talk to your vet about, because that's even more difficult. It's tough enough to place a cat or a dog, you know, kind of common house pets. But you're right, with reptiles and other exotic pets, birds, things of that nature, it's really important to have a plan, because it's going to be tough to ask your friend, hey, can you watch my,
my snake?
Right.
I have him on a leash.
My 8-foot python. You might he curls up and loves to snuggle.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, we're talking about large-scale disasters like Hurricane Katrina, but even for smaller things. You know, I was recently down in Springfield, just about 3.5 hours away from here, for a meeting. I expected to be back later at night, and my vehicle wouldn't start. Tried to jump start it. It still wouldn't start. I was delayed by several hours. It looked for a little while like I'd have to stay the night over there while my vehicle was repaired. So luckily I had a plan in place, so I was able to call a friend, and she was able to access my home and take care of my dog until I was able to get back. And it's really important to have those plans, you know, especially I think a lot of people, maybe it's a big family, it's a husband, it's a wife, it's kids, and maybe from time to time the husband goes away on business or the wife goes away on business, but someone's at home to take care of the animal. Well, what if everyone has to leave the house? What if there's a flood or something and everyone has to leave? What are you going to do? Who's going to take care of your pets then if you're in a shelter or a hotel, something like that?
But even like you said, not being able to get home when you thought.
Right.
And I think myself, it's always nice if you have a neighbor that's a close friend. You exchange keys, just in case of any emergency. Even just to check your house after a rainstorm to see if you're on vacation, let's say, to make sure that you don't have a flooded basement, and they'll sit there waiting for you when you get home a week later. You know, this way if the neighbor checked it out, they'd know what to do, or at least alert you.
Exactly, and just having a plan in place not only helps you because you're able to address the situation, but it also gives you peace of mind. You know, when I was stranded with that vehicle, I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to be stuck here overnight. I've got to cancel all my meetings for the next day. I've got all this other stuff on. Do I have clothes to wear tomorrow? And what hotel can I use? And at least I knew, well, my dog will be taken care of because I've got a friend who's already told me that she can help me. So it is really important to have a plan in place, not only to actually take care of things when they happen, but also to give you peace of mind because you know what to do, you know what to expect.
And you know to call that friend.
That's right.
Not try to find one during the emergency.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, even have a backup friend to a friend.
Yeah.
I mean, in case that one
Isn't
if it's a
home.
neighbor, they're under an emergency situation too. So they're trying to maybe take care of themselves, so they can't really do too much for you at that particular time. So you almost need a third person, maybe an in-law or someone that
Or a relative.
is not close to that area. As far as any kind of a kit that you should have, I know we have our own kits for emergencies, our little radio and the water, etc. You do the same thing for pets?
Absolutely. You definitely want to have enough pet food and enough water for your pets for up to 3 days. You know, just like the blizzard last year, you couldn't get out to get to the store if you needed, if you had run out of pet food. And I think nowadays, in today's economy, so many of us just buy enough groceries to get us through the week until we get paid next week and that sort of thing. But it's really important to have at least 3 days extra supply, because you never know when you're going to be stranded and not be able to get to the store to get those supplies. Additionally, we encourage people to make sure that their pets are wearing a rabies tag at all times. You know, a lot of times we get those when we get the rabies shots done, and we just kind of put them in a drawer or put them away. But you know, if the pet gets out, or if you have to leave your home and take it to a shelter, they're going to want to make sure that it's got its vaccination. So you really want to have those tags on it at all times.
Well, the tag should also have some information as far as a telephone number or something too.
Right. Yes, a telephone number, as well as now there's chips that you can get in, like in your cats and dogs, so that they can be scanned with a scanner at any veterinarian or animal shelter that'll have information embedded in it, so it can be tracked back to you.
Yeah, and I think that's important too, to have a collar on your dog, maybe even your cat. A lot of people don't put collars on cats, but I could see where it would be important to have
Even
that.
if it did get lost, like you said, if it had that chip, all somebody has to do is take it to the police station and they could scan it and they can find the owner.
That's right. I mean, nowadays more and more people consider pets as part of the family. You know, it used to be that pets were always kept outside, and then, you know, now a lot of people have indoor pets, and you really consider them part of the family. So you need to take care of them. So when you're planning for emergencies, definitely get a kit, make a plan, and be informed. For the people in your house, you want 3 days worth of supplies, but also for the pets.
And I would imagine that you should maybe refresh the kit every so often. Once you get it done, try not to forget about it for a year or two, because whatever the food is that you had in there, something's going to probably spoil.
Be old.
Sure, and you know, if you had puppy food in there 5 years later,
He's not
probably
a puppy. It won't be enough food.
Exactly.
Well, thanks, Dave. It's something
That's
new
important.
and different. I never thought of things about taking care of your pets and having a system ready for them too. We'll be right back.